Think about it. When's the last time you told a story to a kid? Maybe it was a classic fairy tale at bedtime, right? Or some old family story. It's something we all do. It's one of the most fundamental ways we connect with them. But have you ever stopped to think about what's really going on in that cozy little moment? I mean, we're doing way more than just teaching them how to read or passing the time. We are actively, literally shaping how they see the world, how they understand right from wrong, and what it even means to be a good person. Okay, so here's what we're going to do in this explainer. We're going to break it all down. First up, the purpose of these stories. Then, we'll look at how different folks define a good character. After that, we'll dive into the methods they use to tell these moral stories. And we'll wrap it all up by asking what this means for the stories we choose. All right, let's jump right in. The purpose of children's stories. So why are stories such a powerful, powerful tool for kids? What are we actually trying to do here? Well, according to a commentary in the Tennessee Star, reading aloud is kind of doing double duty. On the one hand, yeah, it's fantastic for education. You get bigger vocabularies, better memory. It even helps with emotional regulation. But, and this is the big one, it's also this incredible chance to instill values. The stories we pick, they become the main way we teach kids about morality.
And hey, this is not a new idea at all. I mean, we're talking for centuries. You look at research into old folktales like the Indonesian story of Malin Kundang, and they're defined as a form of culture, a way to pass moral messages down through generations. They're the original instruction manuals for society's values.
So that leads to a really big question, right? If stories are teaching values, which values are we talking about? Because let's be honest, the definition of a good person isn't the same everywhere. It can change a lot depending on who's telling the story. And you can see just how different they are when you look at the sources. A traditionalist view, like the one from the Tennessee Star, they're going to focus on things like family, virtue, and purity. Then you have a faith-based program, like Kids of Integrity, and the focus shifts to patience and obedience. A collection like the Book of Virtues goes for what you might call more universal ideas, honesty, courage, that kind of thing. And then you have this whole other angle where people are rewriting old stories to teach new morals, like forgiveness. Okay, so once you've figured out the what, the values you want to teach, the next question is the how, right? How do you actually get a story to do that work for you? Well, it turns out there are a few really distinct ways to do it. Method number one is curation. This is probably the most straightforward way to do it. You're basically a librarian. You're not writing anything new, you're just carefully picking and choosing from books that are already out there to build a library that perfectly matches the values you're trying to pass on. So for example, that Tennessee Star article we mentioned, it gives a whole curated list for teaching traditional values. You've got The Mitten, which is this old Ukrainian folktale meant to connect kids to their heritage. Then there's Little Bear, which is all about family and simple living. And of course, stories like St. George and the Dragon for things like courage and faith. All right, method number two, adaptation. Now this is where things get a lot more hands-on. Instead of just picking stories off the shelf, you're actually getting in there and changing them. You're tweaking the plot, the characters, maybe even the ending, all to teach a new or different lesson. And this isn't just some casual rewrite, Just look at this flowchart from that Mullen Kundown research. It lays out this super structured 9-step process. I mean, it goes from research all the way to the final product. It's a very deliberate, almost engineered way of injecting a new message into an old story. So what does that actually look like? Let's take that Malin Kundang story. In the original version, a son is disrespectful to his mother, and bam, she curses him and he turns into a stone. The moral is super clear, right? Don't disrespect your mom or else. But in the adapted version, there's a new twist. The mother forgives him, and that forgiveness breaks the curse. The entire moral of the story flips from this harsh warning about disrespect to a lesson about the power of forgiveness. And to really make this new moral stick with kids, they didn't just change the words. They updated the whole look and feel. The researchers put together this new digital storybook with what they call a semi-realist cartoon style. The whole idea is to make the visuals really appealing so kids connect emotionally with this new message about forgiveness. Okay, and that brings us to our third method, systematization. Now, this is the big one. We're talking way beyond just one book or one story. This is about creating a whole educational ecosystem. Lesson plans, activities, TV shows, the whole shebang, all designed to teach a complete curriculum of character traits. A perfect example of this is something like Adventures from the Book of Virtues. It's an animated series that takes old stories and uses them to teach things like respect and honesty. Or there's the Kids of Integrity program, which gives parents a bunch of Bible-based tools, discussions, crafts, games. The creators even call it a buffet of ideas, where parents can just pick and choose what they need to intentionally build character. So there you have it. Curation, adaptation, and systematization. 3 different methods. So what does this all mean when you put it together? What does it tell us about the stories we pick for our kids? Well, the common thread here is pretty clear, right? It doesn't matter if you're carefully picking out books, rewriting an ancient folktale, or building an entire TV show from scratch. The core belief is exactly the same. Stories are not just for fun. They are powerful, powerful tools for shaping who a person becomes, for building their moral compass. You know, this quote really says it all. It comes from a simple cartoon about 2 kids who find a lost wallet and give it back. Doing the right thing always wins, even if there's no trophy. And that's really the heart of it, isn't it? The reward isn't some prize. It's that feeling you get inside, knowing you did the right thing. It's about who you choose to be. So, the big takeaway here is this. The stories we choose matter a lot. They're not just background noise, and they're not just a trick to get kids to fall asleep. They are active, powerful tools. They are literally the curriculum we use to teach our children about the world and how to live in it. Because in the end, all those stories a kid hears, they don't just stay on the page. They get inside. They become that little voice in their head that guides them when they have to make a choice, long after the book is closed. And that leaves us with one last, really important question to think about. What do you want that voice to say?